What's up, strugglers?
Comic King here. Oh shit. Oh, sorry. Gotta change out. Gotta change my costume real quick. Oh yeah. Look at that. Now we're appropriate for this video. What's up, strugglers? Welcome to my first. It's taking so freaking long. This is what I want my channel to primarily be. But first, actual American comic book review. And I'll do single issues, graphic novels. I don't really care. They're part of my chapter videos. Sorry, fucking nasty. But yeah, they're part of my chapter videos, man. And it's just kind of like whatever comic book I want to review. And I thought it'd be appropriate and pretty funny for my first review, or my comic book review on my channel, not including like Berserk and manga stuff, to be the first comic book I ever read. When I was getting into comic books, it's what my dad gave me. And he's one of my all-time favorite characters. He's not my, Batman and Superman my favorite, but he's number 3. It's just kind of funny that Batman and Superman my favorite, but this is the guy that got me into it. And it's just kind of, I got at the age where I started reading a lot. I was reading a lot of books. I was 9. And my dad was like, it's an awful movie, but, it got me interested. And it's a guilty pleasure of mine. And I was just like, Dad, I want to get into Green Lantern, man. And I was just like, starting to read. He's like, I got you. He gave me these single issues for... We're just reviewing the first story, not the second, not the sequel. But I got the trade, and I have all the single issues he gave to me and read them. But my first comic book I ever read was Green Lantern, Emerald Dawn by Gerald Jones, M.D. Bright, Keith Giffen, and Romeo Tangal. And yeah, man, this trade is out of print. Now, I think the reason it's out of print is not because popularity or whatever, because apparently this sold out like hotcakes when it came out. And because this was, I can't believe it took so long to get. It's one of my favorite stories of all time, my first comic book. And I just didn't get it right when it came out. And I paid way too much for this, but it's out of print. I was like, I have to own it. Great condition. But I think the reason it is because I don't know. I think it might be Gerald Jones. I don't know. I don't want to assume names. I don't want to pick names, but I think one of these writers or artists got into some trouble. I don't really know the trouble, but I think they got into some public trouble. A few, years back, and DC just, I guess, just don't, I can understand, I try to, for me, I separate the artist from the work. I know Warren Ellis is, not the greatest guy, but I like a lot of his books, and so it's just kind of like separate artists from art, right? Because just because someone's good at something or makes them doesn't make them a good person. But anyway, sorry for Dowerman, but back to this, we're reviewing Emerald Dawn, and this was the post-crisis origin story for Hal Jordan, who's my favorite Green Lantern. Got the superhero that got me into, this comic books in general. And the thing is, I think the reason I love Hal Jordan so much is because, I'm from a military background, military family, and he's in the military. And also, compared to Batman, Superman, a lot of these big gods, of characters and, these big heroes, is that he's very kind of, a lot of people might disagree with me. I think he's a very relatable character because he's not a lot of people hate the supervillain arc where he became Parallax. I personally love it because it's just because I grew up with it. I grew not one of my second comic books, not my second book, but one of the very first comic books I ever read was Emerald Twilight because my dad gave me those books too. Kind of funny, I had the beginning and the original end for Jordan. He didn't die. You know what happened. I'll get into it. I got to get on the road this busy time, but yeah, absolutely love this book. He post-crisis, when DC had Crisis on Infinite Earths in 1986, they were giving a lot of new origin stories. So around the time you had, the ending of Batman Dark Knight Returns and the beginning of him with Year One, Frank Miller tackled those. You had Alan Moore do Superman, Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow, kind of the ending of the post-crisis Superman, and you had John Byrne come in and start with Man of Steel, which was the post-crisis. Just a lot of, they were redoing the origin stories for a lot of these Golden Age and Silver Age characters. And Emerald Dawn was that for Green Lantern. Now, it came out, I think definitely a few years after Crisis, but this serves as that. And honestly, man, of course it's dated, but the thing is, I love it. It's cheesy. It's so much fun. It's got that classic art. I love it. This was the Green Lantern art that I grew up with. But here, let me give you all a page. It's just, this was the bad guy that, forgot his name, but he's kind of a entity that has a hive of beings within him. But yeah, man, this was my first comic book I ever read. Just love it. And sorry, I'm going on a tangent. I'm rambling, but I love Hal Jordan so much because he's a very relatable character. the fact that he's one of these super powerful DC characters that has made mistakes. You have Batman, Superman, they make mistakes, but he made a super huge mistake. But the thing is, I think when Geoff John came in and gave one of my favorite comic book runs ever of all time, Geoff John's by Green Lantern, check it out. One of the greatest books of all time, man. He brought Jordan back to the forefront. He showed that everyone can have second chances. And I believe in second chances, man. I know, I'm kind of a hard person to forgive, but at the same time, it's, or forgive people, you get pissed off or whatever. But the thing is, it's like, look what happens. He showed, now he was possessed, but it just showed that, he's a hero like him can make mistakes. And even though it was a terrible mistake, it was awful. He did some terrible things as Parallax, even though he was possessed. He was just fully redeemed. I just really like that story. And it shows that anyone can have second chances. And I feel like I really relate to Hal Jordan. And he gets frustrated and he's got, he tries not to kill, but sometimes he kills, man. It's just kind of like at the end of it, he's a cop, man. He's a soldier. But yeah, man, first comic book I ever read. That'd be appropriate and kind of funny and kind of a homecoming for me to make this my first comic book video. But yeah, that's Hal Jordan. That's Emerald Dawn, post-crisis origin story for Hal Jordan. And I give it a B+. Doesn't hold up, but the thing is, it's got a special place in my heart, and I just really love it. It's not like the best comic book in the world, obviously, but I just love it. But all right, strugglers, Comic King signing out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, keep reading, and get the pound. I'll see you later.